With that being said, I'm going to call up our first speaker, Edwin Santana, who's with the Tuscan Kitchen, and everyone welcome Edwin.
Hey everyone, thanks for coming. All right. So my name's Edwin Santana. I'm the Director of Marketing for Tuscan Brands, Tuscan Village, everything Tuscan related here in Southern New Hampshire. I've been with the company since they actually opened. I was waiting tables with them in 2009, 2010, while I was in school, and then worked my way up from server to event manager. Server manager, event manager, sales manager, marketing, and so forth. It's definitely a great company. Tuscan Village is literally the downtown of Salem, New Hampshire, and if you haven't checked it out, do check it out. There's tons of dining and shopping there. We're adding dozens of more retailers, dozens of more restaurants. This fall, the hotel will be opening up with about 2 to 3 more restaurants. There'll be a bunch more retailers. So we're really excited about the project. And check out Lake Park in the Beer Garden, where there's live music every weekend, cooking classes. I can go on and on about Tuscan, but today I want to talk about millennials in the workforce, and there's a lot of people here that aren't millennials that are, managing millennials, and I want to kind of give some feedback on that. So I'm 32 years old, so I'm kind of a geriatric millennial, I consider myself, and I have 3 kids. I'm actually heading to his pizza luncheon right after this, so I'm excited about that. But I'll come towards the end and say hello to some people who I haven't met. But I grew up in Lawrence, Massachusetts, where I became a manifester, and I think everyone has the ability to manifest themselves. I think the young workforce, the millennials, need to take out a bit more of that manifestation in their work life, in their personal life, and so forth. Manifestation begins with the belief in a vision, believing in something, seeing something, visualizing it, and doing it and getting it. And that's what I did with Tuscan. I saw these positions that I wanted, and I just forced my way into them by coaching myself, believing that I can do it, and making sure that the people that were going to make the decision to fill that position knew that I was a valuable candidate. But I also loved myself towards working to those goals. If you doubt yourself, that manifestation's not going to happen. It's important to be able to love yourself every step of the way to know that you can reach that next goal. And then become crystal clear of that objective. Am I losing weight just because I want to look good like this person? Or am I buying this fancy new car just because I want to look good? Like, those goals don't make sense. They're not real goals for yourself. If they're goals for your personal goals and for your family, those are the things we want to obsess and manifest. Positive thinking and gratitude, always positive thinking. My wife yells at me all the time because I'm too positive and I don't look at the negative pieces of situations, but I don't want that stuff to cloud my judgment and my manifestation. And then be what you want to be. Be the person that you want to attract. I have a tattoo here that says, "A man is but the product of his thoughts. What he thinks, he becomes." Mahatma Gandhi. I got it when I lived in Lawrence. I was like 17, 16 years old when I got my tattoo from my friend. And back then I was manifesting, right? Meditate, visualize, and go after it. A few ways to catapult your success if you're a millennial in the workforce is to blend your personal brand with your company's brand. If it's a company that you think that you're going to stay with, it's important that you blend your brand, your vision, your personality with that. That's something that I did with Tuscan. My LinkedIn profile was very on track with what Tuscan looked like. I was going to networking events that aligned with the business's mission goals, the funding the Boys and Girls Club, funding Lazarus House. I got involved in the things that Joe and the company got involved in because I wanted to blend my vision, my identity with the company's identity. Doing that, your executives, your bosses, CEOs, whoever is managing you realizes that you're invested in the company, that you share the same interests. You're looking out for the company. Prepare yourself for the next position. I wanted to be in sales so bad that I saw any opportunity for the company that had sales related And this only sales position was private dining, and I did not want to sell pink linens for bridal showers. That's not what I wanted to do. But I knew that that was a stepping stone to show how I can grow this department in sales and be directly responsible for those sales. And I did that, and I got that recognition. I trained myself by reading books, Audible, networking, asking questions, and taking stuff onto my plate that didn't belong on my plate to show them that I can still crush this, but I can still take other things onto my plate. And a lot of times we get stuck in the mentality that I need to get stuff off my checklist for my 9 to 5. And that will not get you to the next position if you can't take more onto your plate. Have a conversation with your CEO, plant those seeds. I was taking a marketing course at night school at BU while I was doing private dining, and I told Joe, and I'm like, hey, I'm learning a lot about digital marketing. I'd love to do some digital marketing for you guys. At the time, we hired this marketing firm that we paid $20,000 a month to do all that stuff, and then I was able to see what they weren't doing, filled out a report, and sent it to him, and then I was able to oversee them and eventually take over that position. So I forced my way into that position. I planted the seed with my CEO, and I trained myself to be the expert in that position. SWOT analysis your competitors, find out what they're doing better, and take that feedback and implement it within your company. I think it's important to do that. One of my favorite movies is Big Hero 6, and when the kid gets picked up, Hero, I think his name is, he's trying to figure out what kind of scientific program would win him a scholarship to the university that he wants to go to. And he can't think of it. His brother just picks him up and shakes him, and he says, look at something at a different angle. And he sees what he's been working on upside down, and he completely changes his whole theory and angle and what he's doing. It's important to have that outlook every single time. So sure, I was selling flowers and linens to a bridal shower, but that wasn't the angle that I wanted to stay in. I looked at other opportunities and saw where I can fit in and force myself to another position. But it's also important to mentor someone to be able to fill that position, so you can tee yourself up to let your boss or whoever it is that's going to make that decision know that I have someone who's going to be just as good because I've been coaching and mentoring them to fill this position. And if you're an executive and if you're a boss of a millennial, it's important that you force your employees to join your company's initiatives for outreach and Boys and Girls Club and all those things, because sometimes we don't want to do that extra mile, but when we do it, we find out that it's rewarding. And when we get that feeling of, oh my God, I was able to help these kids and feed these people, and it made me feel great, that feeling contagious, it spreads. You're building that brand for that individual and helping them understand what it is that they want to do. We want to do more of that. And it's good for your company, too, to position yourself like that. And then, are there resources available to us to help us grow and want to stay with your company? Are you providing us with training and tools? Are you providing us with a pathway? Are you being candid and saying, hey, the company is going this way and there'll be these kind of positions opening up. What do you see yourself doing? If you're not having those conversations, millennials are going to exit because we are job hunting every day. Workforce has changed. So how are we adapting? How are we accommodating these millennials? A lot of people are doing work from home. A lot of people are doing unlimited vacations. Some of that stuff is tricky, so you have to find out what works for your company. And then I talked a little bit about your personal image, your company brand. LinkedIn is very important. I use LinkedIn a lot for employee hunting, but also for connections. I find people that are leaders in the area. I drop them messages. I find out where they're going to a networking event. Whenever I go to a networking event, I reach out to the chamber. I say, hey, can you send me the list of registrants who are going to this event? Because I want to know who I want to go to and talk to at that event so I can make my impact and I can expand my network. And I want to talk a little bit about marketing because that's what I do. Social media marketing is so very important. So if you own a little business, I highly recommend you jump on some social media. A couple things that I like, best-hashtags.com. This website will tell you how many hashtags were used for that industry, what works, what doesn't work, and it does the homework for you. ChatGPT, AI, write my contact schedule for my week. This is my company. It writes the whole caption for you, all the hashtags that you want, who to tag, etc. It's absolutely amazing. I also use this website called Upfluence, which helps you get people who are influencers in the area to help you expand your brand. And if you don't have someone who does PR in your company, I highly recommend you just visit, it's called Help a Reporter Out, HARO. It's a free platform where reporters, editors, writers, people who write blogs visit the web, post on the website. I need an expert in this, I need an expert in that, and you can just reply with your credentials, what it is that you want. Next thing you know, you have a press release, you're going to have an article, maybe it's local or national news, and now you're being covered. It's completely free to do that. And then, of course, LinkedIn Sales Navigator is something that I use to find leads for future events. $79 a month. I highly recommend people do that. We've talked about some PR. Couple things that I want to leave you guys with as I'm sweating with this fireplace behind me and this jacket. Seth Godin, he writes this book called This Is Marketing. One of my favorite things that he talks about is people think their company is the best company and they are going to spend a bunch of money on social media and just hope someone likes it. And that's not the way to go. It's thinking of a bottle of food dye. You drop a bottle of food dye in the ocean's not going to turn blue. If you drop a bottle of food dye in someone's backyard, their pool will turn blue, right? And then you do this to the next pool, that pool will turn blue. Find your pool, find your target market, find your neighborhood that you can start dyeing those pools and let those people help you spread the word, right? So we have to really be defined, find those areas that people who are advocates for you and help them dye other pools. Stop trying to compete with other competitors that are not in your league because you'll just be wasting money at the end of the day. Danny Myers from Union Street Cafe in New York had 600 seats in his restaurants, and he said, what is the type of person that I want to sit at my restaurant, right? So that's the kind of person that I want to market my restaurant to. I don't want, someone in their 20s who's drinking soda that's going to come. I want someone in 30s, 40s, or executives who's going to drink wine. So it's important that we think about this stuff. And that's all I'm going to leave you guys with. Thank you so much. Thank you.
All right, smile. Give it a nice.
Awesome. Thank you guys. Find me on LinkedIn.
I'm just going to give everyone a second to grab lunch who hasn't got lunch yet, but I want to call up our next speaker, Sofan Smith, who's with Entrepreneurship for All, and welcome to the event.
Thank you. Thank you. For the vertically challenged people, yes, lower the microphone. We're not sure, we're just vertically challenged. There's a difference. What's my mother didn't give me in jeans, I make up for it with heels. So good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen.
Good afternoon.
Oh, we're going to start that all over, folks. You've been fed, okay? So I need a little more energy, a little more spunk. It's Friday. The sun is shining, so I'm going to need some of that sunshine in this cool room here. Good afternoon. Thank you, John. I appreciate that very much, sir. So, as John said, and as Michael said, my name is Sofan Smith. The easiest way to remember my name, if you're like, what was her name again? Think of it as Sofan, so far, so good. Most of the time I am. Most, right? 90% of the time. And so, Michael asked me to come and speak today about a couple of different things. He said, what advice would you give to young professionals that are in business in the career journey? He asked for me to talk about what drew me to my current role and why do I like to give back? And then he said, why is it important for young people in business to continuously grow personally and professionally? So I'll definitely touch up on those topics for sure. But first, let me tell you currently what I do. So right now, or for the last really 2.5 years, I've been with this amazing organization called Entrepreneurship for All, also known as E for All. So just to give you a little history of who we are and what we do, E for All began in 2010 in Lowell, Massachusetts. But at that time, it wasn't known as E for All. It was known as the Merrimack Valley Sandbox. In 2012, they launched a business accelerator program. And then in 2014, they officially changed their name from Merrimack Valley Sandbox to E for All. And in that same year, they launched their very first Spanish-speaking program to address the needs of our Spanish-speaking entrepreneurs, also known as E para Todos. And that was launched in Lawrence. And then since then, we've grown a lot. We now have 8 sites across the Commonwealth in Massachusetts. We have an E4All in Colorado, Arkansas, Rhode Island, and then this summer, Maine. We literally just hired the newest executive director to run that site. And so my site, I was hired for E4All Lowell, but then last year we decided that it made a lot of sense to have E4All and Epatatoros and Lawrence really join forces and become a hybrid site so that we would become one. So now my official site name is E4All Epatatoros Merrimack Valley because we expanded our services. And so now we provide our programming to Lowell, Lawrence, and Haverhill. Those are 3 major areas that I really focus my efforts on. It doesn't mean that I don't welcome others from the area. And so what do I do as an executive director? I mean, first, they gave me a great title that looks wonderful on my LinkedIn. So I'm like, thank you. That just like boosted my LinkedIn profile. So I'm responsible for 3 primary areas in this role. First is leadership and vision. And so that means is to serve as a visionary leader to raise like the awareness of E4All, to make sure that folks know about who we are, our resources, and how we can really help an entrepreneur learn how to launch their business. I'm responsible for the general management, so making sure the quality of our programs and events run smoothly while overseeing staff. And then last but not least, development and fundraising. So if you're ever thinking of going to the nonprofit world, just understand that this is something you're going to need. And what does that mean? It means to develop a very comprehensive plan to create strong relationships with different stakeholders because we are a 501c3. So as a nonprofit, it means that I need to raise money every single year, first to provide programming and services to all of our entrepreneurs at no cost to them, but also I got to pay the staff as well. I mean, folks love their job, but they don't love it that much to do it for free. So that's currently what I do right now, and I'll come back to like how I kind of got here, and I'll touch up on the 3 areas that Michael asked me to talk about. But a little bit about myself, personal story. So I was born in Cambodia. My family is from Cambodia. I was born there. I was born at the height of a war. So has anyone ever heard of the Khmer Rouge? By any chance? Okay, so a couple of folks. So Cambodia is a Southeast Asian country. Southeast Asia comprises of Cambodia, Vietnam, Laos, and Thailand. So just give you a visual of where it is in this world. And from 1975 to 1980, there was a war in Cambodia. It's known as the Genocide War. And it was very much comparable to like the Holocaust War. In those 5 years, over 2 million men, women, and children were slaughtered, killed, or died of starvation. And so as part of that, my family, just like everyone else, tried to flood the country. And luckily, they were very successful in that. And we came here to the United States. And so a lot of Cambodians in the early 1980s came here either as immigrants or refugees because of this war. And there was like almost like 2 groups, like where one group kind of went to Long Beach, California, and the other group came to Lowell, Massachusetts. I'm not sure how we got the cold part of the country versus sunny California. I'm like, did they not think this kind of through? Like, we're tropical people. We're palm trees, not pine trees, right? Like, a little disconnect there. My family told me the story that when they came here, they saw snow for the very first time. They thought they were going to die because they didn't know what it was. They've never seen it. You come from a tropical country where it's sunny all day long. To them, 70 is cold, and for us, that's like blazing hot summer. And so that's just a little bit about myself. And I grew up in Lowell. I've been in Lowell since I was 2 years old. So I'm a true Lowellian. Went to other public school, including the high school and UMass Lowell. And so now a little bit of my career. So I actually started working with the Lowell Small Business Assistance Center in college. I had to support myself. I was also a young mom at that age as well. And so I worked with a small business center that worked with diverse entrepreneurs. So that's why I share with you what I do now, and then I'm going back because my professional life has come full circle. So I started there. I went to school full time, worked 32 hours at the Lowell Small Business Assistance Center. Then I also worked Friday and Saturday nights at restaurants as a server. So I wanted to make sure I was never a broke college kid. And then I left the Lowell Small Business after I finished school, and I joined an international recruiting firm in Boston. So that's when my journey started. So in 2003, I started working with an international recruiting firm. And this was at a time when we had a healthcare crisis here in the United States because many of the baby boomer generation were retiring and so forth. And so we had this huge gap to fill. Many of the nurses, the teaching nurses were now leaving the workforce. But people get sick every day. And so the company that I was working with, we hired healthcare professionals from the Philippines to work in the U.S. And then from there, from being in the recruiting industry, I then ventured into higher ed. And I worked as a career consultant with like UMass Boston, BU, Babson College. And I worked primarily with business students and helping them to enter the workforce and making sure they understood their resume writing and their interview skills and so forth. And then after that, I actually got recruited from Babson to go work at State Street Corporation. So if you're not familiar with State Street, they are one of the largest asset management companies in the world with over like $2 trillion in assets. And my job was to hire college graduates for the Global Services Division. And so my experience, when the background is a little bit of everything. There's workforce, there's higher education, and then there's also the private sector. So how in the world did I end up in nonprofit? Well, I took a little break. In 2016, I had my second child. So fun fact, I have 2 children. My daughter's 25 years old, and my son is 7. What's the math there? What's the age difference? Yes, it is a lot. Give me a number. 18, there you go. Most people are like, you started all over? I most certainly did. The things you do for love, I tell you. So I decided to take a step back. So I'm at State Street. I'm at the pinnacle, at least in my opinion, I'm at the pinnacle of my career. I'm the assistant vice president. I was on track and everything else. And I had this vision of where I wanted to be. And I was very proud that I'm the first college graduate in my family. I was very proud that I'm the first one to be in corporate America. Because in my opinion, and in what I thought success was, that I had to be in this corporate ladder or climb that corporate ladder. That was what was success to me, right? Because my family didn't come from that. Many of my family members, and just like many other immigrants and refugees that came to this country without any skills, language skills, work skills, had to work in factories and manufacturing companies. And I did not want to go down that path. And so I'm pregnant with my son, and my husband at the time, we had talked about, like, what would I want to do? Do I want to continue working? Do I want to stay home? And I said, you know what? I would like the opportunity to stay home for a little bit, because when I had my first child, I was in college, and I hustled hard, right? Going to school, going to work. It was nonstop for me. And so I decided to take a step back. But let me tell you, in that moment, right when I was about to send out my last email to let folks know that I'm not coming back, I almost had like a nervous breakdown, because I'm saying to myself, can you really take a break from your career? What if you can't come back the way you want to? What if you can't be as successful? What if you get passed up now for other things because you decide to take a step back and just be a full-time mom? Right? These are the pressures, I think, that many women unfortunately have to go through. And I was mad at my husband at the time. Like, well, you don't have to take time off. You don't have to worry about this. You're not out there recruiting, jumping on planes like 6.5 months pregnant, even though I look fabulous in my heels then. Okay? I still wore the heels in my pregnancy. Oh, honey. Just because you have a bump does not mean you got to look like a frump, okay? And so, trust me. And it can be done. And so, all these questions was going through my head. I had to call up some friends of mine, and said, am I making the wrong decision by taking a step back and taking a break? And she said, are you insane? You worked nearly 20 years. Your resume and your experience speaks for yourself. How many people have the opportunity to take a step back and just enjoy being a mom? And she talked me out of it. I'm like, you're right. So I took a step back. And then 3 years later, I decided to get back into the workforce. And while doing a community event in my city, some folks learned that I was looking to come back to Lowell or work in Lowell, because I've been in Boston this whole time. Never thought I would leave Boston. I'm like, why would I ever leave this great city? I worked in downtown Boston. I worked in Back Bay. I'm like, I have everything in this city. But I live in Dracut, and my son was at an age where he's going to go to school. So I'm like, I need to be close to him. And so someone learned that I was looking for opportunities in Lowell again. I haven't worked in Lowell since 2003. And so that's when they said, have you, there's an opportunity with E4All, I want to refer you. And I said, oh, the nonprofit, that's not my lane. I'm like, I'm a corporate girl, right? And the executive director at that time, she knew me, and she said, just let me talk to you about this job. I'm like, nonprofit's not my thing. Even though I knew about E4All, I knew about their mission and so forth, but I talked to her, fell in love with the mission, and I said, you're right. This is where I can definitely utilize a lot of the skills I've acquired along the way to really put it into this job and to be in a role that can give back and to create an impact. And that's how I ended up with E4All. So, to answer your questions in terms of a couple of things, right? I'm just going back to my notes here. I have used this analogy with college students back then, and I'm going to use it now with the young professionals and the experienced professionals here. Some of us are not so young anymore. The ABCs of your career growth. Okay, you're like, ABC, yes. Assess, brand, connect. Okay, so when you're in the beginning of your early career stage, you want to assess, what is it that you want to do? What is your 9 to 5, whatever it is that you really want to do? Assess that. Assess the industry you want to be in. Assess the type of workplace culture, right? Once you figure that out, brand yourself. What is your signature brand? What do you stand for? Who are you as a person? Who are you as a professional? I think that's really important. And your brand, okay, it's who you are in person, how you carry yourself. It is your digital footprint, your LinkedIn, anything that's public. And then it's your paper brand, your resume, your cover letter, those credentials, right? So there's different layers of that. So you got to really think about your brand. And then connect. I have always said since back then, since the early 2000s, you got to network. You have to cultivate relationships. You never know who you meet, but be genuine in those relationships. I don't meet with people just for the sake of meeting, just to collect business cards. That's exhausting. It's kind of like dating, right? Are you dating to date, or are you dating for an end goal? Maybe it's a long-term relationship or a marriage. So it's not about the quantity, it's about the quality, right? Especially in marriages, okay? So the ABCs of your career. And now that can be also applied to later on. So it's not just in the beginning of your career, but even when you become an experienced professional. I find myself now, from a young professional then to now, I still have to do that. Use the ABCs. Assess, brand, connect. Is this the industry that I still want to be a part of? Has my brand changed? Do I need to edit my brand? Connect. I'm continuously always networking and connecting with folks. If not for myself, for others, but also for the work that I do as well. So, advice for the young professionals. I would say lean into being uncomfortable at times in your career plan or your career growth, because sometimes things may not go your way, but each job, each role that you take, you're going to learn something from it, right? I would say to strive for excellence. No matter what happens, a person can never say, well, John here didn't do his best, or John was always late. Not that you ever are, John. You're phenomenal, okay? Phenomenal, my friend, right? But always striving for that excellence. And it is okay to take a step back every now and then and say, whew, I need a mental day. I need a break. It is perfectly okay. But never stay down there too long. You get back up and you strive for the excellence. So why is it important for a person to continuously grow personally and professionally? Very simple. I don't think you can ever learn it all, right? I don't think you can ever truly learn every single thing. I think that's the beauty of us as human beings, that we continue to discover, right? And you learn new things. I love learning new things from people. I love learning about different industries. And so part of that, what I do is people ask me, well, how do you stay motivated and so forth? So at least once a week, I will listen to like a YouTube clip about various like leaders, CEOs, women leaders, different types of leaders. And I like to listen to their story. How do they get into that role? How do they manage it? How do they balance it? What were the challenges and the difficulties they faced along the way, and how do they get out of that challenge? So then the last part that Michael asked me was, what drew you to your job? It's the mission of E for All, accelerating social and economic impact through inclusive entrepreneurship. By providing entrepreneurship opportunities and resources for folks, and especially in underrepresented communities, you even out or level out the playing field. And so when a person can be financially stable, they can support themselves, their family, and as their business grow and scale, guess what? They employ folks from the community. And so I think that's a beautiful mission to be a part of. And why do I give back? Very simple. When you have enough or you've acquired knowledge, experiences, and resources, I think it's just as important to pass the ball and give it to someone else. And you continue to pass that ball, to pass that knowledge onto others. I think it's very selfish to hold it on to for just yourself. And I see no reason for that. And so if I have something that can benefit you, if there's someone that you need to connect with and I have that person's phone number, why would I not do that? So, ladies and gentlemen, no matter which part of your career growth you're at, whether you're at the beginning, the middle, or you're ready to leave the workforce entirely, just remember the ABCs. Assess, brand, connect. Thank you so much.
Does anyone have any questions before we give her a surprise? She might know what it is already, but... Any questions
I have an inkling, yeah.
But she'll be here afterwards in case anyone has any
yep.
questions. Let me have your camera, please.
Yeah. So it's a surprise.
I wouldn't have guessed.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Smile. I think they came out well.
Perfect.
Oh, thank you.
So now we're at the part of the program where we're just going to honor some of our young people in business, some of the leaders in the room as well, on what they do every day. We just want to say thank you to them, give them a little recognition. So I'm going to call them up one by one. I'm going to have you say a few words. I didn't tell them this yet, but I'm going to have you say a few words if you like, and then we're going to take a group picture at the end. So first up is I want to call up Javier Bristol, who is the Executive Director of the Boys and Girls Club of Greater Haverhill. If you would like to say a few words?
Sure. All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Big thank you to the Chamber and the Bevilacqua family, as well as a big congratulations to all the other recipients. This is a very exciting award. I got to just say a quick story because I could relate a lot to some of the stories that the keynote speakers had to say today. Actually, I also used to work at State Street Bank, finance industry once upon a time. But I got to tell you, I'm a former club kid. I now run the Haverhill Boys and Girls Club, and the club gave me so much as a former member through positive role models, mentorship, right, an opportunity to look at myself beyond high school, right, go to college. And when I had the opportunity to forge passion with my career path, I jumped all over it, and that opportunity was to lead this organization. And it's been an amazing 5 years. And I gotta say, a lot of the success that we have is really predicated on the people in this room today, the community partners that we have that allow us to, when there's a pandemic, become a distribution center, to become a remote learning center, to now when the summer's coming along to be able to offer free programs for the high school kids, for the kids to avoid learning loss. So really, it's a great thing to be in the nonprofit space. Never thought I would do it, but I gotta say it's so rewarding. It's so worth it for me, and I love it every day. And again, it can't be done without a lot of the community partners that we have, such as the banks, such as the other nonprofits. So again, it's a pleasure and an honor to get this award, and thank you guys for all your support and helping all nonprofits, including the Haverhill Boys and Girls Club. So thank you.
With the Merrimack Valley Chamber, we worked with the Boys and Girls Club during the toy donations for Christmas last year. We were blown away of how many kids they help every year at the toy donations for Christmas, and where these kids turn all year, never mind just Christmas, without people like Javier and his team. So just want to say congratulations again. All right, our next award recipient I want to call up is Derek DeVoli, who's the Senior Vice President, Regional Vice President, Merrimack Valley and South Shore Region of TD Bank. He's also on the Merrimack Valley Chamber Board of Directors. He's more than a next generation leader, but I just want to say welcome, congratulations.
All right.
I'm going to hand this to you. You got the right one. And would you say a few words?
Sure. All right. Well, good afternoon, everybody, and thank you, Michael and Joe, and everybody at the Chamber for this recognition. I really appreciate it. I guess I'll be brief, but congratulations to everybody else who's being recognized today. I just want to thank some of my team members that are here today. I really appreciate you guys coming out and supporting. And we, as the bank, we are really proud that we're a part of the Chamber. We've been a part of the Chamber for a long time, and the work you guys do is tremendous. So really, thank you, and especially the Next Generation Leaders program, Michael, that you spearhead is terrific. So again, I appreciate the recognition, and thank you, everybody.
I just want to mention, speaking of the Next Generation Leaders Group, this is a program we're looking to get it to run back monthly starting in August. So if we have an ambassador here as well, Courtney, I just want to give her a shout out as well. If you'd like to be part of the group, be part of an ambassador group for the Next Generation Leaders, let me know. We'd love to have you part of the group. And like I said, we're looking to get this back running every single month starting in August again. So also shout out to Robert, who gives a lot of great ideas also. So with that being said, I want to call up our next award recipient. Two people, Alex and Chanel Garcia, who are the co-owners of Omni Print of Lawrence and Lowell. I'll hand that to the two of you right there, and we'd like to say a few words.
Thank you, sure. Thank you for this honor, really, for the Chamber, for recognizing us, and for everybody being here too, and everybody else who has the same honor today. Sometimes it still doesn't seem real to me to be a business owner. My parents came here with just 2 suitcases and whatever they could carry from Puerto Rico back in the 80s, and worked really, really hard in Lawrence factories to give me a future, and which I'm so appreciative of. And to be able to be the first in my family to go to college, and now to be a business owner, it's really amazing. And sometimes I still can't believe it. Sometimes they can't believe it. But it's an honor, and we look forward to being able, and even my wife too, coming from a very humble beginning, it's really an honor to be able to be part of the community and to have a business and employ people, and to be able to give back to the community. It's really great. And it's great because now I can tell my kids, who don't think I'm young, that I am a young business owner, so I have proof. But thank you all, we really appreciate it.
Thank you. And I want to give Alex a shout out. He's also a board member of the Merrimack Valley Chamber of Commerce. I see Pat Driscoll is also a board member in the room as well. So, and our last recipient today is Ophelia Andraka, who is the Business Development Representative for Bank of New England. She's also in the Chamber's Ambassador group as well, for our networking group. So congratulations, Ophelia, and I'll have you say a few words about it as well.
Thank you. Yeah, I was so shocked a couple weeks ago when you said that I had, received this. I didn't know I was even being considered. So it was a very pleasant surprise. So thank you so much, Mike and Joe. I also worked at State Street for a little while in college, and then I worked at Frito-Lay after, and I quickly realized at a young age that the corporate ladder and that kind of field, industry wasn't for me, and so I went to a much smaller sector, a more corporate, local community bank, and through it I've been able to work with so many nonprofits, and I didn't realize how much I was going to like working with them and giving back with them, and it's been really interesting to work with them on a different side, on the banking side, and where you can really make an impact in different ways. So I'm just so thankful to the Chamber where I can give back in different ways, and for the bank with that too. So thank you guys so much.
If everyone can squeeze together a little bit. Everyone look
Yeah,
at Robert
thanks
there.
a lot.
I appreciate it.
What was that? I lose my job?
Yeah, we got rid of our student intern, so.
That's how it is in workforce nowadays.
Perfect. Thank you all. We just want to say thank you all again. We appreciate you taking the time out of your schedule to attend. We appreciate all being members of the Merrimack Valley Chamber of Commerce as well. If we can ever do anything for you, please let us know. Give us a call or email anytime.